Greetings and salutations. My name is Michael Schwahn, and welcome to the channel. We have some more reaction content for you today, and we're going to be checking out it's two pieces, actually. It is both the PlayStation 5 announcement trailer as well as the features trailer that were shown off at the PlayStation State of Play for Final Fantasy VII Remake. It has this tag on it called Intergrade, and I'm not sure if they're going to explain that or not, or if they just like putting extra words on things. It is Square Enix, and they made Kingdom Hearts, so they really like putting words on things. So we'll see, though. We are going to check out both of these trailers in the same video instead of making it two videos. Now, before we go into this, I do need to, express a small bit of skepticism. Now, real quick, Final Fantasy VII, the original game, is my favorite game of all time. I'm not going to say it's the best game. I don't believe that it is, but it is definitely my favorite, and it has definitely made one of the most significant impacts on my life in terms of video games that have impacted me. I have played the original game dozens and dozens of times. It is at least 30 plus times. And I'm sure there's some people like 30 scrub. And I get that. I get that. I love this series. And I played the remake right when it came out. I ordered the Super Express Deluxe Edition with the figure and everything, and I actually played the entire thing live on stream. The full playthrough is actually available on the VODs channel. There's a link to the VODs channel in the description below. Now, we hadn't heard anything about the remake basically at all since its release. Like, it released, and they're like, there you go. We're going to go work on part 2. And that was it. That was all we'd heard. And we're approaching almost a year since part 1 came out. And everyone's like, are we getting DLC? Are we getting part 2? Are you going to have a PlayStation 5 patch that fixes textures, that unlocks the frame rate, or at least puts it to a steady 60? What? And Square Enix had just been kind of like, well, we announced Project Athia and Final Fantasy 16, and everyone's like, hey, bring it back now. Those are great. Those are cool. But it does make me wonder, what is Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade? And also, because it's Square Enix and because we're in 2021 and we're in the age of modern games, are you going to make me buy this shit again? Because, don't get me wrong, I'm the stupid person that if I have to, I'm going to. That's the thing. And if this game ends up releasing on PC at one time and has additional features or more graphics options or more frame rate options, I'm the stupid person who's going to buy it a third time. Because I'm aware that I will do that. I would prefer not to. I understand buying the PC version, but now that so many companies have set this precedent of upgrading games from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5 or from Xbox One to Xbox Series, I prefer not to buy it again. Especially since I already bought the original one in the Super Deluxe Edition for a lot of money. So I'm just slightly skeptical of what they're going to show us because they've been so quiet. It's either going to be really cool and impressive, or I'm going to be very confused, or it's going to be disappointing. How many copies of Skyrim do you have? 1. I pirated it initially. Played it 270 hours, and then I picked it up on a super discount on a Steam sale and played it some more, and then I haven't touched it since. I'm hopeful for a free update too, but I'm also worried because, well, these companies like money. But let's just see. There are 2 trailers. One, this is the announcement trailer for Intergrade, and the other one is the PlayStation 5 trailer. That's the features trailer. It's the order we're going to watch them in. So, without further ado, let's begin. Also, potential spoiler warning, I guess, because they might show shit.
Quickly!
Hold on, wait. I don't need, whatever language that was. I don't need French subtitles. I don't know why it had French subtitles. Okay, let's try again. Why is it development footage?
Tifa! Help me!
Come on, let's push it past the red line! Now it's my turn! Got your little force right here!
touching reunion.
Well, guys, your girl finally made it to Midgar.
Okay, this is something different.
My name is Yuffie.
Hi.
Materia Hunter and Elite Special Forces operative for the new Wutai government. We'll prove to our common enemy that Wutai is not to be trifled with. Members of Avalanche, we got this.
I'm back.
Ah, there you are. Someone's been expecting you.
What took you?
Sorry about that. Anyway, it's nice to meet you. I'm Sonon Kusakabe.
Where's Cloud?
We lost him.
You what?
He will be okay though, right?
Well, of course he will.
They're the ones who blew up the reactors.
Cool. Should we say hi?
Yuffie, what the hell are you wearing?
After what they've done, you gotta assume Shinra's on their tail.
Look, a Moogle!
Stop! I gotta help.
Okay. Well, this is certainly a lot more than I initially expected. Well, she looks cool as shit. Also, this DLC must take place in the middle of part 1 somewhere.
Boss!
Boss?
You guys should probably get moving.
Got it.
Whatever it is they're planning, you're better off out of it.
We deserve what's coming to them.
Yeah.
You're so edgy.
But I'm not your sister.
There you are.
Who are these jerks?
No clue. It just appeared.
Huh. Okay. So it is like DLC where we get to play.
Let the hunch begin.
Who the fuck are you? Oh, God.
Hunch begin.
Who are you, Kingdom Hearts looking ass? God damn it. People need to stop letting Namada do whatever the fuck he wants, because he starts fucking with things because he thinks it's deep and interesting, and everyone's like, Namada, please, 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 God, stop. Oh. Is there outfit DLC or is it an equipment outfit, or is that in the story? So the part 1 of Final Fantasy VII Remake only takes part in the section that is in Midgar itself. And the only characters from the original game that you see in Midgar are Cloud, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, and Red 13. And the only one of those characters, the only ones that are playable, both in the original... Well, I mean, you do get to play as Red 13 in the original game a little bit, but in the remake, you don't get to play as Red 13 at all. Which makes me wonder if, when we get to the other trailer, if part of the update is going to make them allow Red 13 to be playable, because I'm going to be kind of annoyed. I'm not upset, but I will be annoyed if they add Yuffie DLC before they just made a character that should have already been playable. I don't see a price. It just says available worldwide on June 10th. And notably, I only see the PlayStation 5 symbol here. This is a PlayStation 5 announcement, which means that PlayStation 4 doesn't get it. Let's remove that stupid red dot on the so-called Moogle. So they're running a second campaign type for the DLC, I guess. And they're introducing a couple new characters because I don't recognize either of the people that Yuffie was working with. One of them called her boss, and she's like, I'm not your sister. Which, I mean, okay, whatever. So I guess we're getting some expanded cast, which isn't bad. Most of the expanded cast that they added in the remake, all of them were really good. I enjoyed all of the new characters that actually had like a role to play. They weren't necessarily all like combat people or like new party members, but there were definitely new NPCs and new people that were integral to the story in the remake that I definitely enjoyed a lot. For the sake of spoilers of people that might be watching this, I'm not going to talk about them, but there's new people, and I enjoyed all of their characters very much, with the exception of one. John, just one. And you're more than welcome to contact me in some other form if you'd like to know who that is, if you've played through the Final Fantasy VII Remake yourself. So, it didn't tell us if it's going to cost money. let's see what's in the other trailer. So this is the Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade PlayStation 5 features video. Let's see what the... Of course, money. You know, you're probably right. So here's the question. If the DLC cost money, that's one thing. If the PlayStation 5 like update or version of the game costs money, that's going to be a bit more upsetting. So, but let's see if they even tell us, because they might not.
Get down here, Bert.
Hang on. Once again, we got those French subtitles. Not sure why. Okay, that looks good. That was a noticeable like crispness change. It's not going to be huge because the game's already really pretty. Definitely got more frames, which is good because the game ran very poorly on my base model PlayStation 4, like really poorly. Did you show us the door? Show us the ground. If you're gonna talk about textures. You're pitching me Fog of War? Okay. Lighting's a big deal. Lighting's a very big deal. Looks like they actually added ray tracing, which is sweet. Yeah, the music is unlike anything else. They also did such an incredible job with the music in the remake. Quality of life. Prioritizes displaying graphics at 4K. Prioritizes maintaining 60 FPS. Hold on. Wait, nope, go back. What is this? Normal classic difficulty added. Normal classic. A player-controlled character will attack and defend automatically, allowing you to focus on executing commands. The battle difficulty is the same as normal. This is the... Okay, so they had actually talked about this originally. Like, before the game launched the first time, they had talked about having this option to where you would get to play the game largely the same way as the original game. Because the game, the way it plays currently, is that you do need to, like, mash an attack button, and then that'll fill up your ATB gauge, like from the original game. Once a gauge is full, then you can execute a command such as a special attack, use an item, use magic, etc. So it was this really, really beautiful weave between an action RPG still retaining that ATB combat. It was great. It's a beautiful system. I love it a lot. But they had talked about, for the people that just wanted to play it as close to the original as possible, having this option, and it wasn't there. And people were like, yo, what the fuck? Well, it's here now. So... I didn't play on easy. I played on normal, and I dabbled around in hard mode. But so I don't know if easy worked that same way, but this just probably means that if they're adding normal classic difficulty, then that means that you will still have a challenge available in the game without just having to sit through a cinematic. Loading times. Yeah, that was good. Oh my sweet Jesus Christ. People, since the game released, people have been asking for this. And I think we were even told no at one time. I think we were told no, that we were not going to get photo mode. And everyone was like, what a waste. This game is beautiful and has some of the most beloved characters in video game history, and you're not going to give us a photo mode. So, I'm happy to see this. I'm happy to see this. And you can move the camera. Good. Gonna get some incredible pictures.
Wait, what?
So here's the DLC we saw earlier.
You see that?
That's how ninjas do it.
Yep.
Yuffie looks good. It doesn't look like they changed hardly anything with her character model. In terms of, like, her original design. If you own a copy... Aha! And there's the thing we cared about. There's the thing we cared about. If you own a copy of the PlayStation 4 version, upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version for free. You can even carry over your save data. And there's the other piece of information that we need. Available for purchase after upgrading to the PlayStation 5 version will be the new episode featuring Yuffie. Okay. Cool. Acceptable. That makes me happy, though. That does make me happy. I was really worried, especially because I forget which company it is. There was a company recently that it was going to cost you $10 to convert your PlayStation 4 version of a game to a PlayStation 5 version. It wasn't Control. They got a different... they got shit on for different reasons. Control, only if you owned a specific version of the game, the Ultimate version, did you get upgraded to PlayStation 5, and they got a bunch of flack for that. But it was a game recently, within the last month, that they said that you'd have to pay $10 to get the upgrade. Because PlayStation 5 games are $70 and PlayStation 4 games are $60. And if you had the PlayStation 4 version, you got to pay the difference, which was like, it's the same game. Screw you, jerk. So I'm glad to see this is a free upgrade for people that have the base version. Zach, posture check. I'm standing up straight. That looked good. No, that makes me happy. And it was one of the things that I was really wanting to see because honestly, like, I know I have a very beat up PlayStation 4. One of the fans doesn't work. So my experience is probably not the same as somebody who has a properly functioning PlayStation 4. But if anyone does go and watch the playthrough on the VOD's channel of when we went through Final Fantasy VII Remake, there's some spots where it could be the game, it could be my system, but it freaking chugs. It chugs so bad. And I was like, man, this would be such a better experience if this wasn't the experience that I was having. And people are like, if you have a PlayStation 4 Pro, it runs great. And I'm like, yeah, but it's also supposed to run on the system that I have, and it's not. It's very frustrating. I have a PlayStation 5 now, so I will be able to take advantage of this free upgrade, and I'm looking forward to it a lot. There's a couple of textures that I will be very curious. They didn't show in this trailer that are just aggressively bad. I can probably Google them pretty easily just to showcase, because they didn't show either of them. And we'll see if they're in here. So here's one. This is definitely one of the worst ones. At one point, you're up on the plate, and you're able to look down on the slums, and the slums is just this like 720p JPEG that's on the ground. Like it looks so bad. And I remember when I got to this section and I looked down on the slums and I was like, oh my god, that is the most like blurred, stretched out, flat looking image I have ever seen. I hope they fix this because it stood out so bad to the point that when I was playing through it, I had to just stand and look because, God, it was an eyesore. The thing that more people drew attention to is the door. Let me see if I can't find it. A lot of the door textures were not loading. Yeah, like this door is just basically like untextured. It's supposed to have a texture, like, and this is the low level of detail version, and then after it loads the textures, it's supposed to paint it over top of this so that you get a nice clean texture like what's on the wall here, and it never did. This is the one that people always used as like the example of like, man, Final Fantasy VII Remake's textures are so bad, and I'm like, no, this door, fuck the door. This actually stands out because this is a large detail. The door, it's like you do like interact with the door that wouldn't load, and that might have been part of the problem, is that it was an interactable rather than a static object. But the door I was able to get over very quickly. This section of the game where you're able to see the slums is pretty decently long. It's at least a couple of hours, and it looks bad. It looks so bad. They didn't show this in that trailer just now, and I hope that they fixed it. Because like the other texture improvements that they did, they looked nice. But it wasn't the textures that were problematic, because the game already looked nice. The game already looked great. It was very beautiful. And that's why these little sections stood out so much. Because if something has such a level of sheen and polish on it, if something now doesn't, it stands out so much. It's like if you have a favorite restaurant and you've had 100 good experiences at that restaurant, and then you have one really, really bad one, that bad experience is going to stick out so much more than the good experience. And it was the same way with like the visuals in this game. They were always good, so great, beautiful, flowed well, good level of detail. So the small times that something was bad, it was just this massive glaring light at you of like, why are you wrong? Why are you incorrect? Why do you look bad when everything else looks good? But no, this looks good. I know that it's gonna be very frustrating for a lot of people that you won't get any of this if you don't have a PlayStation 5. And PlayStation 5s aren't cheap. I mean, the digital version's $400, and if the disc edition's $500, and you have to be able to find one. And I know that that's really, really difficult. So, like, even if you can afford one, you also have to find one. And when scalpers are grabbing them all up and selling them for $1,000 to $1,200. I understand why that would be really upsetting, because you might not be able to find a PlayStation 5 even by June when you would want to get this update to be able to play the game. So I'm guessing the reason that it's not coming to PlayStation 4 is probably mostly because of hardware issues. Because maybe it's something in the programming. I know that this game runs on Unreal Engine 4, and Unreal Engine 4 either works really well or works really poorly. It just kind of depends on whose hands it in. And Square Enix did a really good job, by my understanding, with Kingdom Hearts 3, and it felt like a lot of this was really well done, but a lot of the last generation always felt like it was being held back by hardware. Because the level of power change between the PlayStation 3 to 4 and the Xbox 360 to Xbox One did not feel very significant. It felt like the last gen should have went from PlayStation 3 to PlayStation 4 Pro, and that was a more legitimate step up in technology and hardware and capabilities. But you then had the issue where devs were still being held down by the base model of the consoles. We've seen this with things like Cyberpunk, where the base models of the Xbox and the PlayStation just largely couldn't run the game. And that's unfortunate, because it really was bringing down a lot of games that otherwise would have been probably significantly more polished and fantastic experiences, that the devs instead had to devote time to trying to make them work on subpar hardware, like what I tried to play Final Fantasy VII Remake on. I was able to get through it, and I still enjoyed it, and I thought it was a great time, but there was still that glaring issue of, like, I don't feel like I'm getting the full experience, and I don't feel even now like you will be unless you were playing this updated version where you get the fixed textures, higher resolution textures, you're getting more frame rate, you're getting just more. It's unfortunate that so often now we're just getting, like, a released version, and then a year or more later we get the complete edition of something, because that just feels like, was it not complete before? No, apparently it wasn't. But that mini rant aside, this looks good, and I'm excited for it. And I will definitely... I've been, like, kind of waiting to replay through Final Fantasy VII Remake since I got my PlayStation 5 in case it did get an update. Because a lot of games have been getting... PlayStation 4 games have been getting PlayStation 5 improvements. So, like, God of War actually ran very poorly on PlayStation 5. We even tried it one day on stream when we got the PlayStation 5, and it ran very poorly. Even on performance mode, it ran choppy as crap. And they just recently released an update for it that makes the game run smoother, load faster, all of the things that it's able to now take advantage of with the PlayStation 5. And I was kind of just waiting to see if we got exactly what this is, which is an update to where the Final Fantasy VII Remake will now be able to take advantage of the PlayStation 5's hardware. Complete with crunch time patching. Sad. Big sad. So, to those of you that are able to take advantage of this update, I am excited with you. To those of you that are probably very frustrated by not getting this or not being able to find the hardware, I understand, and I wish you luck. I hope that we start to see larger production of units and consoles, or... it won't happen because nothing in the government happens quickly, but we need to, like, there's already countries that are talking about making it illegal for scalping to happen. So hopefully something comes of that. What was the date again? Half a year from now? June 10th? June 10th. So 3.5 months Yeah, 3.5 months. So not too bad. And, you know, it's still interesting to me. We still haven't heard anything about a port for it or anything like that. Because the exclusivity deal for Final Fantasy VII Remake is only a year long. And the game, I think, came out April 9th, if I remember correctly. So that runs out here soon. So we might start to see like an Xbox version or a PC version sometime soon. They did the same thing with Final Fantasy 15. They had to wait a year, and then after the exclusivity on it ran out, we start to see it get moved to other things. So maybe we can get one restock before that, but I doubt it since we still haven't gotten one since November. Do you think it might be exclusivity deal from Last of DLC? You know, I'm not sure. We don't know the details of the exclusivity deal beyond that it was a year, and I forget even how we know that it was a year. But the other side of it is that Sony might be interested in trying to retain exclusivity, so they might have gotten an exclusivity deal for the DLC to try and hold people onto the PlayStation as their hardware of choice. And also, you know, I'm going to say, like, also to try and incentivize people to buy PlayStation 5s, even though you don't need to release DLC for Final Fantasy VII Remake to make people want to buy a PlayStation 5. Most people are already either sold on the system or not, and are just trying to find one. So, either way, I'm happy to see something. I'm happy to see more. I'm curious how they end up slotting this, like, Yuffie episode in, since originally Yuffie didn't appear in Midgar at all. So, yeah. But, I mean, at least we knew that the originally optional characters, Yuffie and Vincent from the original game, you could go the entire game without seeing those characters, meeting those characters, experiencing anything with them. We knew that they weren't going to be optional anymore. That they were absolutely going to be weaved in and what's the word I'm looking for? Like integral is the word that comes to mind. Part of the remake story. So they might. This might be part of the setup for how Yuffie actually becomes part of the party intentionally rather than pseudo accidentally. Anyway, to all of you that are watching right now on YouTube or wherever you might be seeing this at, what are your thoughts on everything that we just watched? The Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC, the PlayStation 5 upgrade, the exclusivity of both the DLC and the upgrade, the improved features. What are your feelings on that? I would love to hear it because I imagine that they're kind of all over the place, and I don't blame anyone for that. It's very understandable. But if you feel okay about it, or whatever way you happen to feel about it, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, or you're more than welcome to catch up with us on Twitter and Discord. We do go live on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and these reactions actually are recorded live on Tuesdays and Thursdays after our regularly scheduled content, and that's why we've had this back and forth with chat about what we've been seeing and what the potentials are and things like that. You're more than welcome to join us. And the reaction links that we do watch, some of them are provided by the community, and there's a dedicated channel for it in the Discord server. And there is a link to everything that I just talked about down in the description below. I'd love to see you at any of those places. There are more reaction videos that you could check out on this YouTube channel, as well as a series called First Impression, where we play through the beginning of a video game and then review it from the perspective of only what it shows us at its opening moments. So, if that sounds like something you're interested in, please go check those out. If you do go watch one of the other YouTube videos, or if I see you in the live stream, thank you and enjoy.